Been experiencing a bit of a low and lack of fulfillment at the moment, and a lot of it has been linked to my use of social media, just generally the digital world, and feeling a bit disconnected, a lot of comparison of my life, of my wealth, and just how I spend my time. Good morning, folks. Today I'm going to be trying something a little bit new in terms of how I go about the podcast. I kind of had this preconceived idea that for it to be a legitimate podcast, it had to be an hour long, 90 minutes long, 2 hours long. But then I realized like a lot of my favorite podcasts, they're really, some of the episodes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and they don't always have to be this super polished studio thing. And I think trying to emulate that very high quality, high level setup, which obviously most of the guys doing that, they have a proper studio, they have a team, amazing equipment. That was holding me back. And we were pretty consistent with it for a while, but as things have got busier with the new baby and being in hospital, which I may talk about today, things have got a little bit harder to actually stay consistent, and I've ended up missing a couple of sessions, and also maybe lost sight of what this is like really about and what I'm trying to achieve by doing this podcast. And then at the same time, I've been experiencing a bit of a low and lack of fulfillment at the moment, and a lot of it has been linked to my use of social media, just generally the digital world, and feeling a bit disconnected, a lot of comparison of my life, of my wealth, and just how I spend my time. And after kind of the episode with my son, long story short, we had a new baby boy. He was in hospital with sepsis for 2 weeks. Big perspective shifter, big grounder. And I've had a real big detox from those sort of things. So really been trying to use social media very purposefully, trying to not really scroll, use social media just to post, and minimal TV, minimal random use of my phone, and actually just like really re-engaging with like more raw, real stuff in the world. And the happiness improvements it's given me over the last few weeks has been pretty amazing. Now, on top of that, one thread that I've been feeling recently about content in general online is how polished it is, how perfect it always is. And everyone using ChatGPT nowadays, everything sounds the same. Everyone's saying the same things, everyone's using the same mannerisms, because GPT is basically like everyone hiring the same copywriter who writes in the same style. Now, not to say some of the content isn't quality, and the ideas and the logic behind it aren't, it doesn't take away from that, but the actual way it's perceived seems very familiar and very similar all the time. And I feel personally that there's going to be a revival of more raw content like this, and you do see it happening already with certain creators where they're just filming warts and all, going on, just sharing their personal views. And I personally feel that there's going to be a massive movement back towards these things in all kinds of area, almost like a backlash against the digital world. And I honestly do believe that the biggest hack for happiness in 2025 is to get off screens more. It's something that's really taken a lot of happiness away from me, I believe, over the last few years. And I've fallen into habits that I really dislike, patterns that I don't recognize in myself, wasting a lot of hours, lots of comparison, feeling like life is boring, feeling like I should be more successful, wealthier, better, fitter, better looking, like all of the above. And all of that comes down to that overuse of social media, which the strange thing about being on your phone and mindless scrolling, whatever you want to call it, is that in the moment, it gives you that dopamine hit. Just the same way drugs, alcohol, sex, porn, all of those things, it does the exact same thing. So in the moment, it kind of feels great and it feels very fulfilling. And I'm sure most of you in this modern world have experienced those feelings where you almost get excited for it. Like there's an anticipation of just being on your phone, even if the purpose of it is completely pointless and you don't even have an idea of why you actually want to go on it. And then you get that initial dopamine hit, and then maybe you spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour scrolling, achieving absolutely nothing. And suddenly, when you finally break away for whatever reason, and it's amazing how long you can actually stay in that pattern of scrolling mindlessly, when you do get broken away from it, which is usually some kind of distraction or something that draws your attention out of that lock, suddenly you get this massive drop of that dopamine. And I know personally that I always feel a bit worthless. It's almost kind of like a come down from having a heavy night or taking drugs. Not something I do nowadays, but when I was younger, it's almost like a come down. And it's absolutely insane that something as accessible and as frequented as a phone can give you that same come down, that depression, that emptiness, that lack of fulfillment after you've had a binge on said phone, on social media or whatever it particularly is for you that you might utilize. And the interesting thing as well is that in the moment it feels, you can get so trapped that you almost lose where you are in the world. There was a moment the other day where I was sat with Flynn, our new baby, on my chest. He was asleep. It was 4:30 in the morning, and I just picked up my phone to reply to some client messages. And before I knew it, an hour had passed and it was 5:30. And I was completely unaware of the room around me. When I came back to the room, it was as good as being asleep or being in a hypnosis. That's literally what it felt like. And it was kind of scary thinking that I'd lost that hour of presence with my son, potentially doing some work, reading my book, doing something like proactive, and the depth of how it sucked me away from that presence as well. Now, I don't think occasionally having a scroll on your phone is inherently bad. I think with all things, we can dip in and out, but I do believe that it's a very, very difficult thing to moderate. And it's literally like many things, drugs, food, TV, all these things, they've been built to keep our attention and keep us locked in. So I think we have to really practice a very high level of willpower, of discipline, or even abstinence in order to actually avoid this potential plague on our lives. And the more I've been thinking about this, the more I genuinely do believe that this is akin to a plague or an epidemic, because it's stealing our quality of life. It's stealing our time. It's stealing our attention. It's stealing our intelligence, and it's stealing our happiness through various mechanisms. And I know from the last few weeks, I know I mentioned a particular incident then, that was one of only a few, but I've been really trying to pull away from purposeless use of my phone, especially scrolling on social media, but particularly just that habit of there's a moment in time between things that need to be done and the phone gets picked up automatically, and you just pick the phone up and you just open the phone and you don't know why you're there. You scroll through your apps, maybe you lock it again, then open it again, go on your messages, there's no messages there. Go on your WhatsApp, there's no WhatsApp there. Go on your Instagram, and then potentially get locked in. So we're almost searching for this purpose within our phone, which we rarely find. And I'll be honest, not many people message me, not many people ring me. There's not many things that need to be done on my phone frequently throughout the day. I would probably get by posting on social media, replying to my clients and replying to emails once a day. And a lot of that doesn't even need to be done on the phone. So something that I'm taking into the next few months and the rest of my life is very purposeful use of my phone. Now, I'm not going to be perfect with this, but basically my intention is that whenever I pick up my phone, it has to be with purpose. Now, that question about whether it's purposeful maybe comes at different stages. Maybe I preempt it and I go, right, I need to pick up my phone now in order to do this. Or maybe when I reach for my phone and I pick it up and I catch myself in that moment of using it to fill some kind of void, whether it's time, whether it's feeling comfortable, confident in the situation, boredom, emotion, then asking myself in that moment, that step one, is this being done with purpose? Like, do I have a reason for being here? And if not, literally just shutting it down, putting it away, not even questioning it, not even humoring that urge, and actually just going, there is no purpose to this moment, so I'm going to put it away. I hope that makes sense. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few months, and my intention is that then will form into a habit, so I don't really have to think about it so much. And actually, when I do go to use my phone, it will be very purposeful, rather than most of our usage. For, I would say, 99% of people, 90%, if not more, of the usage is purposeless. It's filling a void. It's taking up time. It's distracting us from how uncomfortable we feel, or our boredom, or the things we want in life. And even just doing this for a few weeks, I can genuinely tell you that it has had a profound impact on my sense of fulfillment, on my sense of happiness, on my presence with my family, also fitting in time for the things that I didn't feel that I had time for. I've been reading more. I've been training more. I've been working more proactively. I've been spending a significant more amount of time with the family, which is something that's very important to me always, but even more important right now when we do have a new baby, and obviously learning the trials and tribulations of having 3 children. That presence for me right now is absolutely paramount. And for those of you that say, I can't find the time for this, for X, Y, Z, whether it's fitness, whether it's more family stuff, whether it's just passions, hobbies, reading, it doesn't matter what it is. I really implore you to go and check out the screen time on your phone and just see how much time you spend on your phone doing purposeless stuff. Because it would be an interesting exercise to write down all the tasks that you do on your phone that are purposeful, and you need your phone to do them, and then try and figure out like how much of that screen time was actually dedicated to those tasks. And I would say for most of us, it would be a very, very small single-figure percentage at most. And then suddenly you may have unlocked, maybe it's just half an hour, but it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours. And I would also say that you can bring TV time into this as well, like time that you spend on your laptop. I'm not really a laptop procrastinator personally, so watching, say, like YouTube on my laptop or being on social media or anything like that, that's not really a laptop activity for me. If it is, then that has to be brought into the fold with the phone as well, in terms of if you want to address these behaviors. But I think the things that you're going to take away from this, the main things are just this massive higher sense of fulfillment and happiness. Because look, guys, life is lived in the real world, right? It's not lived through our phones, and we achieve very, very little by that time we spend on our phones. And imagine if you could spend another hour a day with your family, or an hour a day for exercise, or an hour a day for reading. It wouldn't just change your actual, whatever those activities bring to you in the moment, and obviously the gain of knowledge or experience and happiness, but also pulling you away from that world of, I need to be better in the way I look, the way I feel, how I earn, how I work out, how wealthy I am, how successful I am. You no longer get that comparison anymore, and you strive for what you see in real life, which is infinitely more fulfilling than what you see online. Because what we see online is a polished version of reality. And don't get me wrong, there's people out there who are amazingly successful, they're amazingly wealthy, They live incredible lives with great experiences. They are happy, but everyone is normal. Everyone's a normal person, and they all experience ups and downs and trials and tribulations in their life. And I heard it on, I think it was a Chris Williamson podcast, Modern Wisdom. I can't remember the guest, so pardon me on that, but he was some kind of philosopher, and they were basically talking about meeting your heroes and how his friend, Chris's friend, met this author who he revered. He had him on a pedestal. He thought he was this most perfect, amazing guy. And he was interviewing him, doing a podcast with him, and they were setting up everything. And the guy who was interviewing basically asked for if he could go and get a yogurt. And the guy was like, yeah, cool, go get a yogurt. So he went to his fridge, got this yogurt, sat down in front of the podcast interviewer, and peeled the lid off this yogurt, which I like to think in my head was a Muller corner, and he licked the lid. And the interviewer in that moment realized this guy is a normal guy. He has flaws. He is human. And I think it's really important that we realize that about every single person that we see online. Like, everyone is a real human. Everyone has bad days. Everyone has issues. No matter how successful they are, no matter how wealthy they are, no matter how amazing their life looks on Instagram, they most of the time are showing you those snippets, those tiny fractions of their life. And I'll speak on my behalf. Obviously, my Instagram isn't necessarily very showing them flamboyance and wealth of my life, but it is still these moments that I've chosen to show, right? Or ideas that I've chosen to show in isolation. And they are mere fraction, like minuscule fractions of what actual life looks like. Bit of a ramble there. So I guess to tie this off, a couple of things. Firstly, I'm experimenting with using my phone less, being more purposeful with my phone. So far, so good. It's really had a profound impact on the quality of time that I'm spending, my productivity, and my happiness. And then also on a macro scale, I'm going to be recording a lot more content like this going forward, a lot rawer, a lot more honest, so you can see that life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. For me, for people doing this as a career in this world, and just to give you an insight of some of the challenges that I faced, good moments, of course, as well, bad moments, things that I'm thinking. And I think in the world of where everything is polished through ChatGPT, AI, all of that, I personally feel that these inside perspectives and inside stories are what the world needs right now in terms of information. Like, I believe that everything is going to go this way. In fact, in this car, this is a old 2001 Land Cruiser, and it has a CD player in. And when I got the car, I remember saying to Morgan, I said, right, can't wait to change the stereo system, get Bluetooth, get all mod it all up. And Morgan was like, keep the CD player. Like, we can just have the CD collection in the car, and we have to choose that CD and we listen to it consciously. And we can have ones for the kids and all these sort of things, rather than this infinite choice that we live in right now, which almost can blinds us to, and we can't make a choice. It's overwhelmed by infinite choices. And yeah, I loved it. So I went out there, bought some old CDs, and even things like that, I don't think the CD is ever going to come back like the vinyl did, but I do feel there's going to be this resurgence of not quite analog, but like moving back from this digital, polished, perfect world, and the raw, the real, the human is going to be the thing that actually comes back and dominates. Because at the end of the day, however crazy AI gets, I always feel there's this coldness to it. And I think that's why people are almost not connecting with these pieces of text that are written, or even videos that are written by AI, because there's just this lack of humanness that we can maybe not really tangibly perceive, but there's this innate, deep-seated feel, like just lack of feel and connection that we get from these sort of bodies of text or videos, because they are missing that human element. And I believe there's something in that, and that's maybe the thing that is the safety net for maybe people in industries that are being dominated by AI, is this humanness, this rawness, this we do make mistakes and we're imperfect and we potentially say the wrong things or we don't say it the right way. We ramble on. I think that's where the gap is right now, and that's what's inspired me to really lean into some rawer, longer, unpolished content. So that's episode 1 of this style, guys. I'm going to be doing these at least once a week, if not more. Going to be doing it in the car. I'm not sure what the audio is going to be like, so TBC on that. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. If there's anything that you'd want to add in the comments, just maybe your thoughts on, it could be phone usage, it could be technology, it could be feeling unfulfilled by your sort of integration into the digital world, maybe your experiences of stepping away from that and what you've encountered. Maybe phone addiction, YouTube addiction, anything like that. I would love to hear your insights, your experiences, challenges, obstacles, or if you've overcome them or experienced some profound benefits from stepping away. I would love to hear that too. Lots of love, guys. Peace out.